Dear students, we are going to start chapter 2, Virtual Private Network and Web Security, under our main subject, Network and Cyber Security. First of all, a virtual private network is a tunnel-based securing the data communication activity, which is applied at the network layer by IPsec, that is the Internet Protocol Security Protocol, over the IP suite that is used for data communication. The virtual private network is used to connect two private networks together via internet. It is also used to connect two remote users to a private network via internet. Ideally, it is a cheaper alternate for any institution to exploit rather than owning a whole private network for a secure communication, as to own or implement a private network requires a lot of resources like networking equipments, complex communication link infrastructures and maintenance, etc. So we can conclude that the virtual private networks are online encryption services, either free or paid, for the purpose of securing the growing number of threats to the data communication online. Also, in order to hide the information from hackers, crypto miners, and also from government and other intelligence agencies who are continuously doing surveillance on an individual's online activities. The virtual private network encrypt the traffic and IP address and reroute the information through different remote servers that are placed in different countries in different geographic locations. This service provides privacy, security, and anonymity while hiding the user's identity from hackers and other unwanted entities. The following diagram make it obvious where a headquarter being in one geographic location trying to communicate securely to the branch office that is far away through internet. And this communication takes place through the VPN tunnels, which authenticate, encrypt the communication and send it across to the receiver. The virtual private network allows the inter-office traffic over public internet by encrypting the traffic and sending it through a secure tunnel where this data is not accessible to any malicious user. The virtual private network exploits the Internet Protocol, which is a communication protocol, while the security part is added to it by requesting some other protocol and combining them to offer communication and security together. This can be done at two levels, one at network level and the other is at transport layer level. So at the network layer level, the VPN is implemented using IPsec, while at transport layer level, it combines SSL by integrating this facility to the internet clients or the web browsers with SSL support like Mozilla, Internet Explorer, Netscape and Opera. The VPNs are less expensive to implement when compared to wide area networks. The maintenance cost of VPNs are comparatively low when you check the wide area networks. The communication speed is slightly lower than the local area network data communication, as there is a encryption and decryption that is involved in the VPN communication. The VPN is also less reliable compared to wide area networks, and it is also less secure when you compare VPN to isolated LAN or WAN. While we cannot say that the VPN is 100% invisible to the hackers, as it is also on the internet, and we understand on internet nothing is invisible or inaccessible. Broadly, we classify the virtual private network into three: server-based, firewall-based, router-based. When we say server-based, we can look at three different environments starting from Windows to Unix. In Windows, using the routing and remote service, different flavors exploit point-to-point tunneling protocol, layer 2 tunneling protocol and IP security protocol for implementing the virtual private network. In Linux, applications like Blowfish, Free, SWAN exploit different VPN protocols like PPP, SSL, PPTP, L2TP for implementing again the virtual private network. In Linux, the virtual private network is implemented using IPsec by incorporating this protocol into the TCP/IP stacks. Firewall-based virtual private network is one of the very safe way of making a secure communication. While there are some points that need to be noted down, not all firewalls can communicate or are going to allow VPN between each other, as different versions of IPsec, IKE need to be compatible with each other for a successful VPN implementation. Router-based VPNs are common, where almost all Cisco routers running Cisco IOS, along with IBM 2210, which is the multi-protocol router, and above versions of IBM also allow the VPN implementation. So when you look at virtual private network implementation, it relies on different protocols that support this activity. So when we say a VPN protocol, it comprises of all the methods that will be exploited in successful implementation of secure communication. Now, for this purpose, as we earlier said, there are many protocols as an option, but we will try to look at in this presentation some important 5 protocols that are part of almost any VPN around the world. So when we say the VPN in internet, the communication between a user and the internet service provider is always unencrypted. While a VPN is employed, then the communication becomes secure and it is encrypted. When we say a VPN protocol, simply we are referring to a data communication that employs some transmission protocol and some encryption standards together. Most paid VPNs offer multiple protocol choice for their clients, with each option having its own characteristics like features, advantages, speed, etc. For example, if a user wants to have a most basic encryption service of VPN, then he can go in for PPTP protocol, that is point-to-point tunneling protocol. However, if he is very particular to have a higher level of security, then the option is OpenVPN. So one by one we will see all the protocols that are available as an option for the user while going in for a VPN implementation. OpenVPN is the most commonly adopted VPN protocol. This protocol is ultra safe and completely hides the user's IP address. It becomes the best choice when it is used along with PFS, perfect forward secrecy, meaning that for every session there will be a new key that is associated with the authentication mechanism and encryption mechanism. So the security level is higher along with the efficiency. The OpenVPN is an open source protocol, making it a choice worldwide as the community's option. The OpenVPN, like FTP, cannot be directly used but shall be included in a third-party software application, could probably be one of the drawbacks. The OpenVPN is a newer protocol compared to its predecessor, point-to-point tunneling protocol. The OpenVPN also comes with different flavors, with SSL version 3, OpenSSL, all that. In Blowfish and Camellia, OpenSSL in combination with AES is exploited in VPN. There are 2 versions of this protocol. One, OpenVPN TCP, OpenVPN UDP. The next protocol that supports VPN is a combination of two protocols, what we call it as layer 2 tunneling protocol and IP security protocol. The layer 2 tunneling protocol is an extension of the old giant point-to-point tunneling protocol and also the layer 2 forwarding protocol L2F. So it's a combination of L2F and PPTP, where the new L2TP, what we are talking about, emerges. The combination uses 256-bit key for encryption, which is making it superior over the PPTP, which uses 128-bit encryption. All mobile operating systems, including Android, iOS, fully support this duo, and operating systems starting from Windows XP to Mac operating system all use this protocol. This protocol is faster than OpenVPN. It uses deep packet inspection, and so it is hidden during the data communication, and so it is difficult to be identified and blocked. As this combo hides inside the packet of IPsec, the source IP address and the destination IP address both are encrypted within the packet. However, this is not the first choice of the people who go for the VPN, while the OpenVPN is the first option. Next, we are going to see the SSTP, which is Secure Socket Tunneling Protocol. It is created by Microsoft and it was incorporated in Windows Vista operating system, which uses 256-bit SSL keys for encryption. It is similar to OpenVPN, as they both incorporate SSL version 3. Obviously, SSTP is not an open source since it belonged to Microsoft. Often, this SSTP based VPN implementation is subjected to poodle attack, so a serious VPN user might look for better options. It works well with most Wi-Fi hotspots where security is a huge issue. This SSTP is suitable best for Windows operating system, which is the drawback as we can look at this. IKE version 2, Internet Key Exchange version 2 is a robust encryption mechanism employed in virtual private network. It is developed by two giants, one Microsoft, two Cisco systems. It offers a very safe key exchange session, and so for the encryption and authentication purpose, it has to depend on IPsec. It is more efficient when implemented in mobile devices and environments. Internet Key Exchange version 2 is compatible with several operating systems like Windows, iOS, BlackBerry. It is also fast and stable. Very good in the scenarios where the internet connection gets lost often. In BlackBerry operating systems, if the user wanted to have a secure communication through virtual private network, the only option they have is IKE version 2. Next, we are going to see the point-to-point tunneling protocol. The point-to-point tunneling protocol's origins are tied to Microsoft. An Indian engineer working for Microsoft developed it. This protocol is actually faster than OpenVPN. It was created in 1995 to work with Windows 95 to serve as a secure component for dial-up connections. The point-to-point tunneling protocol is now considered not so secure, and it is comparatively slow when you look at OpenVPN and layer 2 tunneling protocol. It uses 128-bit encryption keys, which is actually almost obsolete compared to the other available protocols being employed for VPN. The point-to-point tunneling protocol is stable on network address translating scheme supporting devices. The VPN, when employs IPsec, there are two modes of operating position is available for the scheme. One is transport mode, where the IP header is not encrypted while the payload is encrypted. The IP header is left to remain in clear text. The other mode of operation that is available is tunnel mode. So in tunnel mode, the payload as well the IP header both are encrypted, thereby making the data and the source and destination details very secure. The IP security protocol can be used for encrypting the application layer data, to provide security for routers, sending routing data across the public internet, to provide authentication without encryption, to protect network data by setting up circuits using IPsec tunnels. The components of IPsec protocol is AH and ESP. When I say AH, I am talking about the authenticating header. ESP is encapsulating security payload. Both have two different purpose here. The AH comprises of optional authentication mechanism and algorithms like MD5, SHA, 1234, etc. And the ESP takes care of the encryption part. This whole activity of VPN implementation through IPsec goes through set of activities. The Internet Key Exchange. This is also implemented on two phases. On phase 1, when two devices wanted to communicate with each other over internet, option 1 is that they just straight away communicate with each other using some existing protocol that take the data over clear text. The other option is to go for the VPN, where the IPsec is employed. The first phase is Internet Key Exchange version 2 phase 1. So in phase 1, as the data arrives, that is the original packet with the IP header, TCP or UDP header and payload, that is the data itself. So together when they arrive at the gateway, before they can enter into a VPN tunnel, during the IKE phase 1, the gateway tries to communicate with the host, that is the receiver we are talking about, which is far away, connected to the gateway 1 by an internet. First, these two gateways try to identify each other, and then they try to authenticate each other by handshaking, where the first part of security association is complete. So, the security association is helped by ISA KMP, that is Key Management Protocol and Internet Security Association. This does the job of authentication and key exchange, right? Where the security association is complete. So the phase 1 is actually a process what we abbreviate as HAGL. H stands for hashing, A stands for authentication, G stands for DH, Diffie-Hellman, group choice of asymmetric key, etc. L stands for lifetime and E stands for encryption, that is symmetric encryption. So at the end of IKE phase 1, each peer has identified each other and authenticated themselves. Then in IKE phase 2, the IPsec checks the crypto settings on both the sides. If you look at, actually, there is a tunnel that is created, and the tunnel will have a source and destination, IP addresses, and then the encryption mechanisms at both the source and end part of the tunnel should match each other. Either they should be the same or they should be compatible with each other. The packet is fed into the tunnel interface. It's a logical interface of a router or a firewall or a host, and then the bulk data transfer takes place. So there are two modes as we discussed, actually, one transport mode, the other being the tunnel mode. In transport mode, as you look at here, the original packet contains only three fields: IP header, TCP header, and then the data, that is the payload. While in the transport mode, the IPsec leaves the first part, that is the IP header, as it is, and it adds the encapsulation payload header, and the other two fields are as it is, and a third field is added as encapsulation payload trailer, and also last field ESP authentication is added. So now at the end, before the transmission, the package payload part is encrypted and the IP header is left unencrypted in the transport mode. When you look at the tunnel mode, a new IP header is added to the diagram here, and the whole thing, as you see, starting from IP header to ESP authentication, is encrypted. So if you see, there are two headers that will be added here, which will be an IP header and an ESP header. A new IP header and a new ESP header is added, including the ESP header to ESP auth. All are encrypted. The new IP header alone is left without encryption. Now we are going to talk about PGP, pretty good privacy. This was developed by Philip R. Zimmermann. The PGP is a way to encrypt messages online, used when sharing private information on dark web or deep web, also used to encrypt emails, texts, files, and more. It was created in the year 1991. It's a happy news to know that the PGP offers greater encryption standards equivalent to military standard to the public. The PGP is popular because it is free and is available and compatible with different platforms. Exploits well-known algorithms, wide range of applicability. Since it is not developed and controlled by governmental organizations, it is very comfortable for private application email developers to exploit this. The PGP comprises of 5 services. One is authentication, second is confidentiality, third is compression, fourth is email compatibility, 5 is segmentation. The PGP compresses the message after applying the digital signature before the encryption is done. The job of the encryption component is critical, and ZIP is the compression algorithm that is employed for the compression purpose. The message length of PGP segment is limited to 50,000 octets. Longer messages must be broken up into segments. The PGP automatically breaks the larger message into smaller segments. The receiver strips the headers and reassemble all the segments to get back to the original information. As you see here, the PGP segment format is shown here. It has got three components. One is the message component, the other is the signature component, the first is the session key component. Now each of them having their own purpose and placement. The first part ensures the authentication and the session identification. So the first component has the authentication and session key, while the second component takes care of the integrity of the segment. The third component holding the data part in the segment. Now let me explain the PGP operation to you. Let us say that both Bob and Joe would like to communicate using PGP. Now, let us say Joe creates a public and private key using some software, and the Joe sends the public key to the Bob, and Joe holds the private key. Bob now has a message that he wanted to send to Joe, but before sending it, the Bob will encrypt the message using the public key that he has, which Joe sent to him. After encrypting the message, he will send the message to Joe. Now the message that is with the Joe is already encrypted by Bob using his public key. Now, in order to understand the contents of the message, Joe will decrypt the message using the private key that he holds, while the pair of public key was sent to the Bob. So now he can decrypt the message, Joe can decrypt the message that's sent from the Bob, and then he can understand what it is. On the contrary, if it is going to be the reverse, the process is just the same. While earlier case, Joe created the public and private key and sent the public key to Bob, now Bob will create the pair of public-private key and send the public key to Joe, and the whole process can be understood in a reverse manner.